Because I think a lot of times women get in situations and they feel like they can change the man. We're not changing men in 2023.
You're not changing anybody.
He ain't never changing.
I totally agree with that. Exactly.
Man, you can't change anybody.
Right. But that comes with women naturally trying to give. I'm a help him get his stuff together. I'm gonna help him do this because I think this is better for him. That comes with healthy boundaries, because if you're not worried about how he got to get his shit together and do his stuff right and become this and get things better and plan this and all this stuff, and worried about yourself, then you would be like, why can't you do these things like how I'm doing these things for myself?
What is the common denominator of what men are getting wrong with respect to dating with sincerity? That's a good question.
What I honestly think though, I think the men who are sincere and who are intentional are often overlooked. I think that women don't go for those men, and it's not the man's fault. He's, putting his best foot forward, but a lot of times women go after that guy who's just not good for them. We talked about that before. People like toxicity. And it's unfortunate because it's putting us in a bad situation, because here's a great guy who is ready, but you want this guy because he's a runner, So
I think with age comes wisdom too. Like when you're dating with a purpose and with intent and you find a like-minded individual, I don't think that's going to be an issue. I don't think that there isn't going to be success in that if you're finding like-minded individuals. So I think that's where that vetting comes from. Like you gotta ask the right questions in the beginning. And if you being intentional, like, hey, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I want, and they're looking at you sideways, just get up and leave. That's not the person for you. If they're not engaging in that conversation, like they're not aligned with you and the things that you want, you have to find someone who is also dating with intent.
Because I think a lot of times women get in situations and they feel like they can change the man. We're not changing men in 2023.
You're not changing anybody.
He ain't never changing.
I totally agree with that. Exactly.
Man, you can't change anybody.
Right. But that comes with women naturally trying to give. I'm a help him get his stuff together. I'm gonna help him do this because I think this is better for him. That comes with healthy boundaries, because if you're not worried about how he got to get his shit together and do his stuff right and become this and get things better and plan this and all this stuff, and worried about yourself, then you would be like, why can't you do these things like how I'm doing these things for myself? And you look at the situation differently.
You have to look at yourself, especially as a woman, and ask yourself, what is it in me that is attracted to that kind of lack of in you, that I want to be present there for that, where it's like, I think it, goes beyond saving. There's an attraction that you all have to those, to, that space. And so why is it that I'm attracted to it? Because, for example, if, to Maya's point, a man is struggling or a woman is struggling to provide for themselves in certain areas, and you all just started dating, that should be a red flag. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, so if you can't provide for yourself in that area, how would you be able to provide for me in that area if you can't do it for you?
The problem is trying to change people, period. You cannot change anybody. People have to want to change themselves. So we go into these situations thinking, whether it's sex, whether it's I'm going to do everything for you, whether it's I don't even know, you're going to bend over backwards, we're going to be super nurturing, I'm going to show you everything that I can give you so that you will see me as a prize. If they're not willing to change or willing to want you, it's not going to, no matter what you do, it's not going to make a difference at all.
Facts.
And that's even outside of a relationship. That's just people in general. And I think that's what you're trying to say. See, because I'm like, that's just people in general. Like, so especially at this age.
So one person stated, it was a normal man, and I agree with this though, a normal man. He said that a lot of times women overlook the intellectual guy, the nerd. But I would also argue, and we've talked about this before, that not only that, but the intellectual guy overlooks the intellectual woman. You know, he wants toxicity too. So he wants the woman to change for him, but he's also feeding into that as well because he wants the toxic woman.
It kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier, Shantae, where you were saying how, like, you know, when you were reading through the chat and people were talking about, oh, they want women to not have all of this hair and to look like this and to talk like that, where it's just like, those aren't really characteristics that are grounded in sustainability. So it's, you're vetting for the wrong qualities.
It's just very, the chat is very interesting because you can see like the experience.
So he said he doesn't want
the experiences that people have. I think it's very comedic to me. Like, it's just very comical to me, honestly. Like when you see like people's different experiences of, oh, I think someone said, I don't want an intellectual woman, or, like Black women aren't intellectual. It's like, well, what women are you basing this off of? These statements that are not facts at all.
The ones in their neighborhood and their mama. I'm sorry.
It's just it's just
a product of their environment.
The experiences that people are having.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting to witness, personally for me.
So I think that too. I think he said that it's not true. They want an attractive woman. I've seen attractive, smart women, but I think that that's the problem. Women want attractive men. I think that men think that women don't want attraction. And I don't know who put that narrative out there. But when we're doing that, when we do this, we overlook really great people who may not be like the god or the goddess, who may be great for us. They just are not like, the Instagram model or what's a good example?
But the question is, what's intellectual? Because you hear this all the time. Women who lead with their degrees.
That's true. Y'all do say that.
Degrees, right? You don't want that woman. So what is the definition of intellectual? Are you talking common sense? Are you talking she's able to hold a conversation and we could go back and forth and talk about different ideas and different topics? Or are you just saying a woman who is educated? Like, what is the definition of intellectual?
I think we should start there.
I think that's what's most important, because when a woman says, hey, I have a master's degree, or I have a doctorate, or I have a PhD, or I'm a doctor, you then turn around and say, well, I don't really care about your degrees that you have hanging on the wall. So what is considered intellectual?
Girl, because my professor in college, she was like, you're going to call me a doctor.
Right.
Where it's like, for me to be like intellectually stimulated, whether you spent whatever you spent on, to have a degree or whatever, whatever titles you have, like, to your point, being able to hold a conversation, being able to, sustain conversations with others, like versatility, or, having a diverse background and being able to talk about different kinds of topics. Like, for me, I'm personally intellectually stimulated. Like, I like to have conversations. I like to talk. I like to chat. That's one of the ways that I can, ground in connectedness with other people, is through talking and communicating. So I want someone that is able to communicate.
So then again, we're going back to your vetting to see if people have commonalities with you so you could have a conversation.
For sure.
So it's not really about smarts, right? Like, so you talk about intellectual, so it's not really being intellectual. It's just you have commonalities between the person you're having a conversation with.
Well, I mean, I think that would be intellectual.
Most of them don't care. They just want to know if you can cook. Can you cook?
That don't matter. That don't matter, because we would have been married a long time.
Can you shut up? And can you just do what I told you to do?